Welcome back to the catch up here on Cris Cyborg's YouTube channel. I am James Lynch. Today, I got a very special co-host, one of the top featherweights in the world, Emmanuel Sanchez, joining me on the program. Emmanuel, how's it going, man?
Good, man. How are you today?
Doing awesome. Thanks for filling in the shoes here today. Where are you right now? Looks like you're at a park or something.
Yeah, I'm just chilling at a park with my dog. Just enjoying
awesome.
a nice
Getting a dog cameo as well. We talk a lot about animals on here. That's great. Before we talk about your really impressive win at Bellator 252 over Daniel Weichel, we've got to get to a little bit of news here. But before we get into that, got to thank our audience for checking out this show each week. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. All that support goes a very long way. But Emmanuel, I mentioned it there. We had a lot going on the weekend, most notably the Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. fight. I know you were telling me off air you didn't catch all of it, but what do you think of these, seniors fighting each other? 2 50-year-olds, Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. fighting each other. What'd you think about that?
There were some good fights on that card. For that fight right there, man, you got to think, like, with Mike Tyson doing the toad and living his life now, how he is. And likewise with Roy, they've accomplished everything they need to accomplish. So from one fighter to another, I don't know if I'm blessed to live, another 30 years. And money talks, right? So if I'm obviously still healthy and in good shape and someone offers me a great opportunity to make a fight that, never came to fruition in our prime, but if we're able to do it when we're grandparents, then why not,
And did you happen to see as well, in the co-main event, they had Jake Paul, the YouTube star, knockout Nate Robinson, who's an NBA player. Did you catch that at all? Because I know your buddy Ben Askren was kind of going back and forth with Jake Paul.
Was he? I saw bits and pieces of that too, and I'm surprised they allowed that to happen. Why? I mean, to each his own, man. I don't even know who that guy is.
Yeah, he's not catering to our audience, that's for sure. Jake Paul, that is.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, my world and my area of expertise, goes pretty deep, even in the boxing world. Not too deep in the boxing world, but pretty deep in the boxing world. I've trained with other, higher level professionals, guys who box successfully in the amateurs, in the Olympics. So I know I have, I wouldn't say like me knowledge or anything of knowing is that, but I've trained with some of the best in that sport as well too, that combat sports, right? You think about it. And I credit that to my coach, Duke Rufus. So, I mean, having some of the best taekwondo guys, boxing guys, kickboxing guys, Muay Thai guys, MMA guys, you name it. So, I mean, it was nice to see some of those earlier fights on there. But to see that, I remember seeing that as a kid. What, celebrity boxing?
That's right.
Like that?
Yeah, Joey Buttafuoco and China fought each other. Remember that? That was like the highest rated show on Fox.
I think Dustin Diamond too, right? So
yeah.
One of the Saved by the Bell guys, something like that, just because he needed the money or something like that. So I guess that's this generation's celebrity boxing now. So
yeah, looks like it. Because YouTube stars are like the new celebrity. So I'd agree with that. Any chance you'd ever? I know you'd take the money obviously and take a fight like that, but is there any celebrity you'd want to fight?
I don't know. I mean, there's that guy, sure, just because I don't even know who he is. So, I mean, if he's considered a celebrity and if that makes me a celebrity by whooping his ass, like, I guess, then whatever. But man, my dreams and my goals and aspirations and everything that I've wanted to accomplish has all been through just mixed martial arts. If there was an opportunity ever to do something great with another fighter as well, though, too, another accomplished good fighter in another discipline, so obviously like straight jiu-jitsu, straight boxing, straight kickboxing, straight Muay Thai, maybe the opportunity's got to really be a good opportunity, but if not, I'm looking solely to be the best at mixed martial arts.
Well, you've certainly been proving that over the last couple of fights, and especially that last one against Daniel Weichel, Bellator 252. I wanted to start first with how nice was it to avenge that loss? And because your first fight, a lot of people felt like you won. So how was it, to finally put a stamp on that sort of rivalry, so to speak, and get the win?
It was really good. I know a lot of people believe I won, but yeah, you couldn't put it a better way. Actually, just putting a stamp on it and letting the world know and letting him know. So I believe that that loss early in my career needed to happen in order to make an even better performance and when there's more on the line as well too. There's more stakes on the line is going into this Grand Prix, and that is what propelled me to get into a semifinal match with Patricio Pitbull, another one of my losses, and a lot more is on the line, and there's a lot more pressure, and I arise when it comes to that sort of occasion, and a lot more eyes are on not only Bellator but the featherweight division, and obviously this featherweight Grand Prix. So it does me well knowing that a lot of people don't know that he had a win over me. Mm-hmm. So for those who are just tuning in right now, or only looked it up on SureDog or Tapology that these guys have a win over me, just seeing a decision, they probably think I got smoked or just outclassed. Then you really see how the fight plays out. Now, you can't write a better story, man. So it's definitely the vengeance tour. I'm avenging all my losses.
What did you think of Pitbull's win over Pedro Carvalho in the main event?
Didn't surprise me. Right before he had knocked out Carvalho, Coker had just asked me, "Who do you got?" And I think he even asked me what round. And so and I'm horrible with fight predictions, so to even just give a prediction, I'm like, you know what? I'm still going to go with Pitbull. So my pick, no matter what, was Pitbull. But I said to the second round, and shortly after, he finished it. So I was like, well, all right. I gave Pedro just a little bit of the benefit of the doubt for talking so much on saying how he's going to shock the world and mark my words, and I'm going to destroy Patricio and everyone's going to be destroyed. Well, I got to say I gave him that edge for his confidence, but that he might maybe make it a tougher fight for Pitbull, mm-hmm. but he obviously didn't. So, world championship experience, a world-class fighter, and a champ too, nonetheless, a champ. In 2 weight classes, and for the amount of experience he has, that definitely took over and showed in that fight. So I still saw a lot, though. I still saw a lot of holes and a lot of openings in Patricio's game because, he said that was his toughest fight. And outside of what Curran and Strauss, I believe, there's no one else he's actually gone 5 rounds with.
That's right.
So, yeah. So, I'm looking forward to make an even better round 6 through 10. So, look at that, how many rounds I went with Weichel, and now looking to do the same with Patricio. So,
well, just looking at the rematch, I mean, I know the date isn't set yet. I'm assuming it's going to be early 2021 or something around there. But how do you feel like stylistically you match up with them now? Because you've been a much improved fighter, like you said. That loss, like you said, really helped you become a better fighter.
The bow and arrow need to be pulled back really, really far right before it can be shot forward. So as much as I wanted to win, as much as some people, likewise with that fight too, believed I won, and what were the judges watching and everything, everything that goes into it too. Family, friends, even people who just MMA fight fans telling me that they believed I won. That was very humbling to me, and what an honor that was. Even getting a text from the big boss, Scott Coker, afterwards telling me he'd seen a lot of fights, and that was one of the most amazing fights he'd ever seen. So that, that helped, I guess, heal my broken heart from, the loss. But it had to happen. As much as it sucks, losing's just like medicine. No one likes taking it, but you got to take it. It only makes you better. And it did. Whatever doesn't kill you just makes you stronger. And it made me stronger, better, wiser, and just that much more of a cerebral fighter now, knowing that I've been there, because after he defeated me, he went on to knock out Michael Chandler in 1 minute. So that, and then now he's had 2 dominant title defenses now going into this rematch that we have. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get in there and show him how much more different of a fighter I am. He even said I'm a little more dynamic, so he's excited to mix it up more with me as well too. But I'm definitely looking to expose him and put again another stamp, like you said, other than the last one. So I know he beat me. I know he got his hand raised, and I know he stayed the champ. But that's good. I obviously needed that for more motivation to come out and win this Grand Prix.
I know you don't like doing fight picks, but there's been some talk about Pitbull being the best featherweight in the world right now, just, with all of his wins and, all that stuff. If he fought Volkanovski, how do you look at that fight from a style perspective if they were to ever fight?
I think it'd be a great fight, actually. A lot of people, man, they don't give Bellator fighters the credit we deserve. They say it's just a retirement home for UFC fighters, deflated UFC fighters, the bum league, right, the B league, and all these other names. And like, nah, man, we're the D league, the dollar league. So there's a reason why so many people come to Bellator. There's a reason why Bellator is on CBS now, one of the biggest networks and one of the best organizations in the world, having some of the best fighters in the world too. So you can't just pick out one name or two names from each weight class or just in the whole organization. The whole organization is filled with great fighters. Now, is it still building? Yes. Each division is still building, just like the UFC. Because I have my own complaints about the UFC too when it comes to the top featherweights. You just mentioned Volkanovski versus Pitbull. I think that'd be an amazing fight. There's a bunch of other top 10, top 15 fights at featherweight that I don't know why they haven't been made yet. You know, I think there's some damn good fights that could happen. Sabit versus Ortega or Yair versus Ortega, Zombie versus any of those guys. Like, all in that mix, you know what I mean? Just what a gang of fights that you could make. But you put, let's say, okay, fine, the final three who happen, even let's put in Carvalho or Weichel as well too. You put us in, and Caldwell, in that mix of with some of the best at the UFC's featherweight, I believe would be able to hold our own too, whether it was tournament style or whether it was just for the title, however it was. I know each and every single one of us in our division can go and hang with any of those as well too. And I think Pitbull could have an edge over Volkanovski. I mean, they're both kind of built the same, so I mean, it would make an interesting fight, that's for sure. But I most definitely could see Pitbull coming out with his hand raised in that one.
Now, if you beat Pitbull, do you think that puts you? But okay, yes, but I'm trying to be objective here a little bit. I agree. I like the confidence; it's good. But you know, do you feel like a win would put you in those talks now? Because that's been the talk with him, is that, you know, he's the best fighter outside the UFC. Do you feel like you would steal that thunder if you were to beat him?
Absolutely, and that's actually always what I've wanted to do. To be honest, is to you know, when you go back early in my career, so I'll be wholeheartedly honest here. There was a time where, yeah, you know, I had a lot of teammates, obviously on the UFC roster, and I was the only guy in Bellator on my team. So there was a little bit of talks and negotiations and the thought of crossing over, and I was almost waiting for that moment. I was like, well, you know, if Bellator doesn't re-sign me, or if I become a free agent, or what. Duke was also my manager, so everyone at Rufus Sport I know was looking out for me, and we're all trying to get me in that home or get me out of a contract or into a better one. But Bellator continued to invest in me, and they continued to, you know, keep me a happy fighter here in this great promotion, and to be well taken care of. I wouldn't have what I have if it wasn't for Bellator, man. And I've seen not only guys from my team now, but from fighters all over. Man, UFC, what do they got? They got their acronyms, you know, United for Connor, but also You Fight Cheap. So I mean, I know there's a lot of guys on the UFC roster that people don't even know who they are, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So when you think of the branching and marketing and promotion, so promoting each fighter or the weight class, I believe it's difficult, but I believe also a lot of guys maybe aren't getting their shine as they should, because the division is so deep, or it's only solely focused on one or two fighters, one or two fights, or for whatever reason that fighter they consider is boring, or it could be a foreigner, doesn't speak English, so they could have whatever issues, right? Or maybe they just haven't had a big fight to help them really blow up against a big name to help them blow up in whatever division, whatever fighter you can name, whatever undefeated guy, whoever you can think of, right? When it comes to the UFC, at least. But I knew now the position that I'm in, I wanted to, and still plan to, you know, make myself one of the most highest paid fighters outside of the UFC, and one of the best fighters outside of the UFC as well too. Obviously, we saw, you know, you go back a couple of years, Eddie Alvarez. It's a perfect example. So right now, obviously, my dreams, hopes, goals, aspirations is all in winning this Grand Prix and going down, becoming a legend in Bellator and in the featherweight division as well too, because outside of who I just mentioned earlier, Pitbull, Strauss, and Curran, there's been no other featherweight champion. So I'm looking to be that guy outside of those three names right there, to be the only other featherweight champion. You go back even further, Joe Warren. and you got to go back a ways to go that deep from right over here. So I'm excited to go out there and be that face, the face of Bellator, and to be the face for the featherweight division as well too, and one of the top fighters outside the UFC, and to be a spokesman to say, any of you guys in the UFC think you're, you know what I mean, or anyone who thinks, you know, UFC fighters are better, bring them on over here, because actually part of my resume, I've defeated 3 guys that have crossed over from the UFC to Bellator, and some are already over there. So yeah, I've handled that business. So for those who think the UFC guys are the best, and 2 of them were on the Ultimate Fighter too. So I'm undefeated against guys from the UFC. So I know I could be able to handle my own as well too.
I got to bring up one more name, and that is AJ Mckee, who fought, I think, a week after you got the win over Caldwell. What did you think of that? Because he's another guy they're really talking about in your division.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. Before, sometimes with other opponents as well too, you know, sometimes you could get someone else's, I guess, notoriety or shine get to you, thinking like, oh, why is they talking about this guy more? Look who he fought. Why is he talking about that guy more, or this fighter more, or whatever, you know? But it's all these fighters throughout this whole tournament. I've watched them all. So in the wins, in the losses, and anything, I'm like, I've known these are all the top best guys right here. I fought most of them too, so I knew, I'm like, a lot of rematches could be made, which is, here we are. But seeing when this whole thing started, I was like, man, this is going to be some exciting matchups. Like not only when we first all got matched up, you know, when starting with the 16, but when it got down to the final 8 after that night, and now here we are now. So I knew going into that one, that was going to be an interesting matchup, because Caldwell had finished Borix in the first round very convincingly, and then Mckee had defeated Derek Campos pretty well in a good back and forth fight, and then what a great scrap that was supposed to be, and AJ handled business. So I think it's good. That's another loss I need to avenge as well too, because we were scheduled to fight.
That's right.
December actually of 2016. That was actually right after I lost to Daniel Weichel. So this is definitely a revenge tour. This is now I get to consider myself a real avenger here. You know, I'm looking to write one of the best stories in MMA history, kind of like in boxing, a Rocky Marciano or a Mickey Ward. You know, the guy who went to go out there, had the toughest road in this Grand Prix, and had all the toughest fights too, guys who all have a win over him. And then in the final, facing someone who's undefeated and then just, you know, had a very good, rare submission, I don't think has been seen, right? As far as I'm concerned, like in my MMA history, I don't think I know what that submission is. And so props to him for being able to nail that. That was a good finish. But as far as an MMA goes, I think that's the first time we've ever seen that. So, you know, he just made history. Good for him.
We're excited to see you get back in action against Pitbull, Emmanuel. Really excited for when that will take place. We'll be keeping tabs on it. In the meantime, thanks so much for doing this, man. This was a lot of fun having you on here co-hosting. I just want to remind our audience again to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. But I'll give you the last word, Emmanuel, if you got anything you want to plug, any social media.
Just follow me at Matador Sanchez on Instagram, everybody. Recently, my Instagram, my Twitter, my everything got hacked. So I don't have a Twitter anymore, but on my Facebook page, Emmanuel El Matador Sanchez, and I'll work on the Twitter thing again, whatever, see what's up. If that's on Snapchat, Matador Sanchez, if you're on that too. I'm barely on that either, but just looking forward to going out and win this whole Grand Prix, everybody, so stay tuned. Looking for late January, February for the semifinal, and getting ready for the final. Here we come. So 2 down, 2 more to go.